Viewers, you're watching the Explosive Exclusive with me and Navika Kumar. Viewers, 41 days ago, the central agencies were entrusted, in specific the CBI, by the Supreme Court to deliver speedy justice to Sushant Singh Rajput's family. Today, 41 days later, that pursuit has been reduced to a 38-word, Navika, press release that reads more like an apology for inaction by the CBI.
That's right. After 106 days of Sushant Singh Rajput's mysterious death, 65 days of what we saw the case pending with the Mumbai police, and now 41 days with the CBI, it's really looking at the tardy pace of investigation in this case. What's worse, that the freedom and image of countless others has been jeopardized. Instead of an investigation of activists which have accused the agencies of carrying out a witch hunt in the name of a credible probe, the agencies like the Enforcement Directorate have drawn a blank after leaking leads to suggest that Rhea had looted Sushant Singh Rajput. After all, it was the money laundering angle which needed to be looked at. We still haven't got a status report on that or any charges, despite questioning of many of the individuals like Rhea Chakraborty, Vikas Chakraborty and others, their CAs, etc. The Narcotics Control Bureau
has jumped in. The NCB has jumped in, willingly parted with private WhatsApp messages to suggest that Sushant was drugged by Rhea, and a dirty drug cartel involving some top stars was in an active nexus with the underworld, has reduced itself to, I'm sorry to say, a spectacle really, Navika. In all these days, it has not publicly made one charge, one recovery that can stand the test of judicial scrutiny, at least from some of these big-time A-listers.
That's true. We've seen a parade where Deepika Padukone, Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor, Simon Khambata and other people have made a beeline for the NCB headquarters in Mumbai. But so far, yes, all of these A-listers who have been called haven't been associated with any recoveries from their premises, and therefore, whether it is chats based on drugs, which will hold the key of judicial scrutiny, or whether it will be the actual substance being really caught from these people, is something that the NCB will now have to come out and prove, because the biggest injustice would be if this is going to be now seen as a roving probe without leading to too many results in this question. And it's become some sort of a legal battle on both sides. On the one side, we have the lawyer of Sushant Singh Rajput's family, which has questioned the progress of the CBI. And on the other, we've seen the lawyers of all these A-listers, including Rhea Chakraborty, who have come out and said that this is a witch hunt. Really, at this point in time, we don't have anything concrete to prove either side right or wrong. The CBI has given just one tardy statement saying everything is open. Yes, everything is open, but my dear friends, it's been 41 days.
Yeah, well, remember, under the law, viewers, 90 days the CBI has to file charges. So that's the law. Whether they exhaust all those 90 days or they seek an extension from the courts, we don't know. But as of now, the CBI really is floundering. And it's not just the Bollywood A-list or the stars or even the supporters of these stars or the opposition that is asking the questions. Even Sushant Singh Rajput's family is beginning to ask questions of the CBI, saying that all the attention is being hogged by the NCB, it's being hogged by the other agencies, etc., but nothing is really moving with regards to the original case, which was the mysterious death of Sushant Singh Rajput. Now, the agencies are running out of time to produce evidence if they are to restore their credibility. But at the end of the day, let's just break this down, Navika, before we go across to our reporters. Let's just break this down and look at the central agencies, who many now are saying are on a fishing and roving expedition, especially the lawyers. That's what they are saying of those that are accused. So CBI, let's have a look at the CBI. The role investigating abetment to suicide charge. It's on your screens, viewers. against Rhea and Sushant's death. The action grilled Rhea, SSR's flatmates and its former associates. The CBI has made no arrests in this particular matter even now. The probe status, no one charged yet, no one arrested, status report still awaited. We don't know if it's abetment, we don't know if it was suicide.
But there is more breaking news coming in, and this, if it is true, as our sources are telling Bhavtosh, then this is a big development, big breaking news coming in. We understand NCB, when it confiscated the cell phones of the A-listers Sara Ali Khan as well as Shraddha Kapoor on Saturday, forgot to take the signatures of the two actors.
Oh, no.
And if this is the manner in which investigations are going to be done, then it clearly shows completely unprofessional attitude by the NCB officials conducting this questioning.
I mean, in such a hype,
big gap, such a huge case, and all eyes of the country on the A-listers, you confiscate their phones, you forget to take their signatures, and today, almost 48 hours later, NCB teams go to their houses to get those signatures.
Shocking.
Well, this is a shocking development. Let's go across to Bhavtosh, who's got more details on this. Bhavtosh, is it really true? Did the NCB really forget to take signatures? Is this how professionally this case is being handled?
Or unprofessionally, rather.
Navika, this shows unprofessional attitude as far as the NCB is concerned. Probably in past 2 decades, this is the most high-profile case that this agency has got. And the NCB Mumbai zonal unit, which was questioning Shraddha and Sara Ali Khan, when they seized their phone, ideally this was a voluntary seizure, and they should have taken their signature on the memo or on the record. Instead of doing that, they just took the phone, and then on Monday they realized that no signature was taken, and hurriedly they sent 2 officers at Shraddha's place as well as Sara's place. The comedy of errors does not end here. In fact, at Sara's place, she was not there, and the signature of one of the staff member was taken. Now, this will all be used by Sara as well as by Shraddha whenever the case goes into the court, because they will say this is the manner in which the phone was seized, and whatever content which is coming out now is something that could have been hacked into their phones. And this is a big lapse on the part of NCB Mumbai zonal unit. Earlier in the day, we had broken the story that top brass of NCB is not very happy in manner in which probe was handled on Friday as well as on Saturday with regard to Kshitij Ravi Prasad, who had leveled very serious allegation, and this is just the continuation of that. Instead of taking the seizure, instead of taking the signature on the seizure memo, they were allowed to leave, and now 48 hours later, NCB team went to their residence to take the signature.
This is shocking, Rahul, because this is preliminary activity as far as any interrogation goes. And here we are talking about a special investigation team that has been set up by the Narcotics Control Bureau. Now, if the special investigation team does not tie up the loose ends, you think there's ever going to be any conviction in these kind of cases? And if there is no conviction, no evidence that's going to come up, and all of them would be, Deepika, Sara, as well as Shraddha would be well within their rights to object to anything that's found in there.
I would actually sue. I would sue
they can sue
NCB.
the agency saying that their phones have been hacked in.
Navika, the more important point, of course, is that after extracting these drug chats from WhatsApp groups, etc., one would have thought that the agency either would have taken more time to collect some other circumstantial evidence to make their, case, or even the questioning more substantive. Here we are told that they were called in, they were questioned, they were kept there for a few hours. Then it was told to most reporters that none of these stars were cooperating. Then we were suddenly told that the stars have accepted, at least one of them, Deepika, has accepted that she was ordering drugs. Then later it turned out because Deepika and others let it be known that they never accepted any of this. So it's become like a he said, she said kind of battle, which is really not reflecting well on the credibility of the agency. And just this morning there was a report on how they bungled up yet another case of an organized drug racket involving at least 4 very, very, very hardcore drug cartel members, and they messed up that case completely. Once again on a technicality. So this is really looking bad. Siddhant, I want to bring you in on this. We haven't even begun to discuss the NCB. We were still on the CBI. But let me ask you this. The CBI, going back to it, no one charged yet. Not one particular accusation has been proven. Siddhant, what's the explanation from the CBI? They are supposed to be looking at abetment to suicide. Either it is or it's not.
Well, that's absolutely right, Rahul. You see the SSRians, the people, those who are fighting for the justice of Sushant, has been waiting for justice from almost 3 months. Now, when even Bihar police came into picture, they thought that now they will get justice. But despite CBI teams in Bombay, they recorded statements of all the individuals related to the case. They went back. We were being told that there was a meeting which is going to take place. After that, something concrete will come out. That has not happened, and this is perhaps the reason that the pressure is building on Central Bureau of Investigation, because they have not come out with a single detail of their line of investigation, that what is exactly happening. Now the fact here is, Rahul, that SSRians have to say that we have been waiting patiently. We have all the hopes from the CBI, since CBI is the premier investigating agency, but the fact is that why there is so much delay. And as we always say, that the justice delayed is justice denied, and now they feel that even CBI will not be able to give justice to SSR, because you see, Rahul, going by the track record of Central Bureau of Investigation, in many cases, there was no closure reports filed. In many cases, they could not take case to any conclusion, and that is a fear in the minds of the SSRians. And you see now the staff and the friends of SSR, they all are concerned. Even the family have started speaking out that why did you take this entire case on the drug angle? What was the need? What about the real investigation which is currently being investigated by CBI? And right after this pressure, Rahul, you see this afternoon a statement came out that no angle can be ruled out, at least at this point in time. Investigation is going on. That particular piece of a statement is a relief.
Can be ruled out. Nothing concrete in that 38-word press release, Navika. And what about the Enforcement Directorate? What's really happening on that front?
Well, it's very clear the Enforcement Directorate is looking at the money laundering angle. They have done a few questionings. The questionings, even as we speak, are still on of some individuals. They haven't made a statement yet, because from what I've been given to understand, the Enforcement Directorate has to look at some funds, some foreign connections as well. And this is time consuming. But as far as the ED is concerned, they have registered a case and they are looking at that angle. And when there is a predicate offense, which was the offense that was filed by the Bihar police, and in that the charge of money laundering was made, there is no way the Enforcement Directorate can escape those charges. So they have registered a case. They are doing their investigations. So far, they haven't made a statement. There haven't been any arrests so far.
Do we
How
know,
soon,
Navika?
or whether there will be an arrest or not, we don't know. We're waiting and watching. But as far as the NCB is concerned, let me tell you, Rahul, it was the Enforcement Directorate that first got these chats from the mobile phones, from the iClouds, from all of these equipment. And when they saw this drug chats, in the midst of the kind of information they were looking at, they passed on, because it is really not the primary agencies looking only at narcotics, which is why in an official DO order they had sent it to the Narcotics Control Bureau. So once it has been officially sent, it's not one of those friendly things where I tell you, Rahul, why don't you look at a couple of headlines here. It is an official, and under the law, the section of the law is quoted under which the NCB then becomes the organization which has to look at the narcotics angle. It's incumbent upon them, and they're doing their investigations. Now, whether those investigations should have had a parade of the A-listers before there was any confiscation of this contraband substance, or whether there was any other smoking gun that linked these A-listers to, possibly the kind of evidence that the NCB
The bar
was
is
looking
high in narcotics cases, and I just want viewers to quickly pay attention to this drop-down graphic that we have actually made. The bar is very high. Remember, this particular act, the NDPS Act, is a stringent one. So let's have a look at the bar. What is required, the quantity? This is, of course, the history of the act. Anyone can actually look that history up. But what does the law say? Small quantities in possession attracts immunity from prosecution. That's the first provision. Let's look at provision 2. Consumption, a punishable offense under section 27 of the NDPS Act. Let's look at provision 3. Very important, viewers. Addicts volunteering for treatment get immunity under section 64 of the NDPS Act. This was a reform measure that was brought in, an amendment that was brought into that act. Let's look at provision 4. A small quantity up to 1 year of imprisonment or fine up to 10,000 if it's a small quantity. And it's a 10 to 20 year of imprisonment or fine of 1 to 2 lakhs if the possession for a small quantity. And then, of course, there are other ones which will appear on your screens. And
if it is dealing, if it is sale and purchase of drugs, that's a completely different ball game.
Yeah. And let's break down the quantities. There are graphics to that effect also. How many grams? We've really broken it down. So we'll bring that in. But Navika, this is very, very critical because we don't know what quantities were also involved in the procurement.
Well, in the case of Kshitij, the allegation that has been made was that there was half a burnt cigarette butt that was got from a balcony, not even inside the house. At least that's the allegation, and the allegation against the NCB that Kshitij purportedly from having some role or some connection with Dharma Productions at one point, that he's being framed to take and being coerced to take these big names. The question at this point in time is, will agencies really be able to give us some sort of a clear picture? Is this a fishing roving expedition, or is this really going to be something that they are following on the basis of hard evidence? Because if it is not, then some of these A-listers can come out and sue these agencies for having not only caused them stress, but also causing them material losses because of the defamation that this involves.
Yes.
And that is a subject matter of a huge debate in the civil society, because you might be called in, you might be asked to give a statement, but if there is nothing hard that holds against you, then you would have suffered some loss of face, some loss of, these are intangibles. But who pays for this? Who pays for this kind of a loss is a question of debate that's currently happening amongst many people.
So let's just go quickly across to our reporters. What are you hearing from the camp of these actors? And let me bring in Shabir as well as Priyank. Priyank, first to you. The NCB went out there with a lot of energy. A lot of chats were released, and it appeared that there was conclusive proof, there was evidence of procurement, but it didn't turn out to be enough. And it has severely, not just, most importantly, upset these Bollywood stars, but also maligned them.
Yeah, certainly, we can say that because the initial team of NCB, which was camping in Mumbai, the Mumbai zonal team, and the team which had gone from Delhi, were certainly on the loggerhead. Both of the team wanted to impress their bosses and to achieve maximum limelight. You have seen that how miserably these things are happening. In fact, in Sada Ali Khan, they could not take signature of Sada. She was there for good 4.5 hours. What has happened in this case that the NCB officials have gone ahead and similarly to what we have seen in Mumbai police investigation, which took the garb of nepotism and the parade of all these film producers was happening. The similar kind of thing also reflected in the investigation of Narcotics Control Bureau, which initially started on a very good note of going ahead with Sushant Singh Rajput case. This case of the visit of the SIT team in Mumbai, Rahul, was particularly to find out that whether this drug net could have been behind the killing of Sushant Singh Rajput or not, but no arresting happened in that particular investigation. Rather, all these big V's of Bollywood were made to parade before the NCB officials, and we could see the similar kind of image which we had seen at Bandra police station when the Mumbai police started questioning producers, and in the other side, the Narcotics Control Bureau started questioning all these film stars. So that was the wrong message which was going on. That's why the DG had to intervene. The DG had gone there. The DG held a meeting with NCB officials, and the country wanted to know the truth behind Sushant Singh Rajput. The country wanted to know that whether the big V's of Bollywood were also consuming drugs or not. But the country did not certainly wanted to not go in the direction which they wanted the agencies to go. They wanted to know that whether this drug cartel was behind the death of Sushant or not. But that did not happen. And
right
what
now,
we saw
we don't have any evidence pointing in that direction. In fact, we have no information because the AIMS board, the CBI haven't really met, so we don't know where that is going. The CBI sitting in Mumbai, how much it has discussed with other agencies which are doing the allied investigations, we don't know. And Shabbir, who's joining us from outside the NCB office, I want to ask you, what happened to all the questionings that were happening at the CBI headquarters in Mumbai? Has it all shifted to NCB? Has CBI decided to take a break in the meanwhile? Are there parallel investigations going on? Why don't you give our viewers a sense of what action and activity is going on in all of these three agencies' offices in Mumbai? The Enforcement Directorate, the Narcotics Control Bureau and the CBI.
Well, Navika, as you pointed out, it's a multiple agencies that is probing this case. The ED is probing the money laundering angle where nothing tangible has come out. There is no clarity as to what exactly the ED is doing. As far as the NCB is concerned, the last activity that we witnessed outside the NCB headquarters or the zonal office here in Mumbai is that, Shraddha and Sara Ali Khan were questioned by the NCB authorities for more than 5 hours, and after that, for the past 2 days, there has been no activity. They have Kshitij inside, who is being questioned by the NCB authorities. He is here in NCB custody for 5 days, and apart from that, at the DRDO guest house where the CBI officials were investigating the Sushant Singh Rajput death case, there is no activity at all. No CBI officials are present here right now in Mumbai. All of them have gone back. Once again, they will come back to Mumbai to further investigate this case is what we are hearing. But so far, there is no concrete information as to whether the CBI officers will come here and investigate the case once again, because they are waiting for forensic report. Stay with me on that point.
Let me get in Bhavtosh Singh once again. So Bhavtosh, is it true? Can you confirm for us that the CBI officials who were camping in Mumbai have come back to Delhi? What about the SIT? Has it had its own meeting with the joint director and the other officers who were appointed to look at the Sushant Singh Rajput investigation? Are they taking a break while the drugs has become the main investigation at this point in time?
Well, if you just look at the events that have taken place, it appears, as you rightly said, that that CBI has taken some kind of a break after spending nearly 40 days in Mumbai. In fact, the SP Nupur Prasad as well as DSP Anil Yadav are back in the capital. They did held a meeting on last week, which was attended by the Joint Director Manoj Shashidhar. He was briefed about the developments that have taken place in the case, and since then nothing much has happened except DSP Anil Yadav going to Patna for some documentation purpose. He went and met the Chief Metropolitan Magistrate. This is because Navika, the FIR in this case has been filed in Bihar, and the copy of the FIR was given to the Chief Metropolitan Magistrate. But for all practical purpose, it looks as if the investigation of CBI has completely been stalled. Reasons are best known to them. As you rightly said, that it's a very terse note that has been issued by them. It does not answer any of the questions that the family and fans of Sushant Singh Rajput have been asking for past many days.
Shocking, ladies and gentlemen, 41 days into the CBI investigation, we don't have any shred of any evidence. We don't know whether this is a case of abetment of suicide, whether it's a case of homicide, or whether it was the suicide that it started off from being called by the Mumbai police. We don't know. 41 days have passed. The whole spotlight seems to have shifted to the Narcotics Control Bureau and its own investigation on the drug chats and A-listers from Bollywood being summoned. In the same investigation, the NCB forgets to take signatures of these A-listers when it confiscates the phone, and therefore whether this can even hold up to being any kind of evidence in a court of law remains to be seen. But in the meanwhile, it seems like the CBI is taking a break from investigations in Mumbai. It's back to meetings in Delhi. Anything coming out of that meetings? Well, not that we know of. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at if there is so much public interest in one case, and if this is the progress that we are seeing in this case by the CBI, where are we headed as a country looking at justice for the common man? That's the big question that we come back to right after this very short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Even as we continue to see a complete freeze as far as the CBI is concerned, and 41 days later, a 38-word press release saying that every possibility is open, but really no material information coming in from the CBI, which has pushed all supporters, family members and friends of Sushant Singh Rajput to question whether justice will ever be done in this case. Let's listen in to some of these reactions that have been coming in.
मुझे लग रहा है कि जैसे उन्होंने सीबीआई को इन्वॉल्व किया, तो बीजेपी ने इन्वॉल्व किया, बीजेपी ने सपोर्ट किया. अब थोड़ा सा ये लग रहा है कि इनकी आपस में मिली भगत तो नहीं है, क्योंकि हर इंसान अपना फ़ायदा उठा के केस से आउट हो गया. अब इस केस का क्या, सीबीआई की अपडेट्स नहीं है, एनसीबी अपना काम कर रही है, दैट्स ओके. हम भी चाहते हैं कि ड्रग माफिया पकड़े जाए, ख़त्म हो जाए, बॉलीवुड से क्या पूरी दुनिया से ख़त्म हो जाए, लेकिन सीबीआई की अपडेट्स नहीं आ रही है काफ़ी दिन से. इज़ अ बिग इशू.
तो क्यों लग रहा है तुमको कि इस केस में राजनीति अब खेली जा रही है?
क्योंकि अब उनका एजेंडा पूरा हो गया. शिवसेना को पूरी तरह से उन्होंने तहस नहस कर दिया. अब शिवसेना इलेक्शन में खड़ी कैसे हो सकती है? वो नहीं आएगी. देश की जनता तो खिलाफ हो गई. अब इनका काम हो गया. अब सुशांत की केस को भटकाने के लिए बॉलीवुड स्टार क्या होते हैं? बॉलीवुड स्टार इज़ द फेमस. उनका नाम डालेंगे, उनकी तरफ डायरेक्शन दिया जाएगा, तो ऑटोमेटिकली पब्लिक भी उधर चली जाएगी. केस को डाइवर्ट किया जा रहा है.
अभी देखिए ना, अभी सुशांत भैया का केस बहुत भटकने की कोशिश हो रही है, मतलब ये केस को दबाने की कोशिश हो रही है. अभी विसरा रिपोर्ट जो है, विसरा रिपोर्ट में आने में डिले क्यों हो रही है? क्योंकि वही केस को भटकाने के लिए कोशिश हो रहा है. एंड जो एम्स जो बड़े बड़े डॉक्टर हैं, उन्होंने कह दिया कि ये सुसाइड नहीं है, एक मर्डर है. मैं भी कह रहा हूँ फर्स्ट डे से, मैं भी कह रहा हूँ, गणेश भैया भी कह रहे हैं कि ये मर्डर ही है, नॉट सुसाइड, क्योंकि भैया ऐसा सुसाइड कर ही नहीं सकते. तो ये केस को भटकाने के लिए कोशिश किया जा रहा है। और ये जो एनसीबी सर है एंड ईडी सर है वो अपना काम कर रही हैं, ड्रग्स के मामले में रिलेटेड है सुशांत भैया के साथ, बट ये सुशांत भैया को ड्रगी, गजेड़ी, नशेड़ी ये सब बोल रहे हैं, बट ऐसा तो इन्वॉल्व, मतलब सुशांत भैया को इन्वॉल्व तो ऐसा नहीं लगा सकते ना, वो नहीं कर सकते ऐसा, मतलब अपने को बचाने के लिए सुशांत भैया को ब्लेम कर रहे हैं। ओके, तो भैया ऐसा नहीं कर सकते ना, कौन सी दूध की धुली हुई है उन लोग जो ड्रग्स पेडलर जो पकड़े हुए हैं, तो सुशांत भैया के ऊपर ऐसा क्यों इल्ज़ाम लगा रहे हैं? ऐसा तो नहीं है, भगवान तो ऊपर तो देख रहे हैं, तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। बस ये चाहता हूँ कि भैया को जस्टिस मिल जाए एंड जो बीसरा रिपोर्ट है जल्द से जल्द आ जाए।
इतना दिन से आज सीबीआई इंक्वायरी चालू है, अभी तक कुछ सुराग नहीं लगी उनके हाथ, कोई अरेस्ट नहीं हुआ अभी तक। इतना कुछ होने के बाद, क्योंकि जो उम्मीद थी अभी लग रहा है वो उम्मीद भी हमारी नहीं है। बहुत उम्मीद लगा हुआ था कि बहुत जल्दी पकड़ लेंगे सबको, लेकिन आज इतने दिन हो गए, इतने महीने बीत के जा रहे हैं, लेकिन अभी तक कुछ ऐसे नहीं सुराग हाथ लगा कि किसी को अरेस्ट करे। रिया चक्रवर्ती को नहीं किया, बाकी ये जो रुकुलप्रीत जितने भी है ड्रग्स पेडलर, किसी को नहीं अरेस्ट किया अभी तक। सिर्फ इंक्वायरी चालू है। आज इतने दिन हो गए, जो उम्मीद थी वो उम्मीद भी लगता है अभी खो देंगे हम लोग। सर यही लग रहा है दिशा भटक गई है अभी, क्योंकि जिस दिशा में पहले केस जा रहा था उस दिशा में केस है ही नहीं अभी। उम्मीद थी सीबीआई इंक्वायरी होगी तो जरूर जल्दी हो जाएगा, जल्दी पकड़ लेंगे सबको जितने भी कातिल है, लेकिन अभी सीबीआई इंक्वायरी इतने दिन से चल रहा है तभी भी किसी को अभी तक पकड़ा नहीं है।
Well, Navika, all sorts of information now flying thick and fast. We are being told that the NCB saying it's too premature for the media to speculate right now on whether we have evidence or we don't have evidence. We are taking it day by day because we don't want to rush into anything. We don't want to be accused of cooking up stories, etc., etc. So we don't want to be premature. We are being very careful. We are waving this up. This is very important. It's an important.
Well, what NCB sources have been telling us is very simple. They've said that we've got certain material, whether it is from chats or whether it is from statements made by the other accused in this case. The fact is that there are names that have come up, and the first dharma of investigation is names that have come up have to come and corroborate. These people in NCP are saying that we are not accusing anybody of anything. The day we have enough information to accuse them, we will file that charge. But for the moment, if names come up, it is our job to find out whether the names taken by individuals have any evidence, and do they match with the statements of the people who have named, whether they can lead us to some more information or whether they can actually deny this with proof. So that's the only job the NCB is doing. To say that the NCB is already charging the A-listers is incorrect, and to say that they have been let off and there is nothing more to ask them is also incorrect. They are saying we are at the preliminary stage of our investigation. Our investigation is not about high-profile names alone. What they are saying is that their investigation is about an underground cartel. Now, this underground cartel, the only reason they want to really get to them is that these underground cartels will be connected in the back end with a foreign source. Whether that foreign source is in Pakistan or in other countries, that is the end that they need to get to.
So they are looking at the organized aspect of this. They're not looking at one actor here and the other actor there. They're just trying to understand where all of this stuff is being procured from so that they can trace the origins.
Absolutely. The only reason at this point they are trying to see the actors is that if there has been procurement, then who are their alternative sources of procurement? It is not their consumption at the moment which is under question, but it is the procurement sources, and whether these are organized networks, what are their linkages, what kind of work they do, prima facie upfront, what is the work behind, all of that.
And is it
the
possible at all, Navika, that more names might be actually summoned for a questioning? Is that possible?
Well, that possibility always remains open, is what NCB sources do tell us. That possibility always remains open, because individuals who have now been called in for questioning, if they name others, they name some X, Y, Z, then those people will be called in. But what I've been told categorically is wait for a few days. you will find out we are not out on a fishing expedition.
Okay, not out on a fishing expedition. Okay, so they are clearly wanting to project that this is a serious investigation, and they will, in the due course, have some concrete, tangible results. Let's open this up. I just want to go straight across to Rahul Ishwar, who also joins the broadcast. Rahul Ishwar, how are you looking at this entire investigation from your perspective, given the fact that we've had frustration being expressed by Sushant Singh Rajput's family now, saying that the CBI hasn't really found anything which could make us all believe that we're reaching some point, conclusive point in this investigation?
Amended and respected for not falling for such huge pressure. There was huge pressure saying that this is murder and immediately people should be arrested. CBI has been diligent, CBI has been cautious, and we should respect them for that. See, there can be conspiracy theories, there can be many conjectures, there can be pressure. But an agency like CBI can only go for material evidence, only go for empirical data. And CBI has been responsible, has never gone for any kind of statement or any kind of public spectacle. CBI should be respected for that. We should be very careful. And please remember, CBI has not even said whether this is a murder or a suicide. So the official line of inquiry, we don't know. It is open to both. But CBI's investigation has been very steady. It may be slow, but it is steady, and we should respect. And CBI, like an agency, cannot simply go like saying that people have been murdered. And CBI should be respected because CBI didn't fall to this pressure. So the entire conspiracy theory angle pushing, the entire narrative building has not found any effect on CBI. It's a positive thing our civil society and media should be proud of. We should diligently wait. We shouldn't jump the gun. And there is a lot of open-ended questions.
Suresh Nakwa, a political analyst, also with us on this show, as is Prachi Adhikari. Before I go to Prachi, I want to get in Suresh Nakwa. Suresh Nakwa, supporters of Sushant Singh Rajput extremely frustrated. On the other hand, supporters of Rhea Chakraborty are asking the question on why she's been put in, because the CBI hasn't even decided. There is an offshoot of a drug case, and that drug case doesn't justify that whatever Rhea was talking in the chats was procurement for herself. That's what she says, and her lawyer also says. So Suresh Nakwa, at the end of the day, on the one hand, supporters of SSR are looking wide-eyed at the CBI, which hasn't come to any conclusion. And on the other hand, the others who have been supporting Rhea Chakraborty, who have been supporting the A-lister actors, are now coming out to say that, CBI hasn't found anything and therefore it has nothing to say. Why don't you unmute your audio, Suresh Nakwa?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yes.
First of all, let me answer your second question first. Rhea Chakraborty is in jail for a case which is related to drugs, and her bail has already been denied by the Honorable High Court. Now, coming to your first question, you are talking about Sushant supporters. You see, it's almost 40 days that CBI has taken over the case, but after bottom of investigation and almost a destruction of evidences by 70 days by a local police, if you see the amount of data that was sent to aid, it was very less. So it's very difficult to get a report. You see the PM report, postmortem report, the timing is not due. So there is serious bottom of investigation as well as evidence tampering. Even though circumstantial evidence pointing towards the homicide, like pictures of Sushant, but CBI doesn't have the body, so obviously it is going to take time. But we need, as Rahul said, we need to trust the authorities. They are going in a clinical manner. Just because they are not doing a daily press conference or a weekly press conference, that doesn't mean they are not working. No doubt the CBI angle and CBI investigation is more in the limelight, but CBI is already working in the background, and I'm definitely sure this truth will come out definitely.
Prachi, do you think the agencies are on a fishing expedition, or do you think that it is too early at this stage to virtually start attributing motives to CBI, ED and the Narcotics Control Bureau?
See,
these three agencies are working, and I think these are very serious investigation agencies. One side there is ED, which has been involved in investigation about the money laundering and the money of Sushant Singh Rajput. Where the money has gone from his account, who were involved in taking his money. If Rhea has taken that money and used in some related.
Okay, a few problems with her audio there. Let's try to bring in Tausif Ahmed. Tausif Ahmed, look, many people are today saying that the CBI should not be pushed into adhering to some fictitious timeline, even with regards to the family's expectations or anyone's expectations. But the fact is that we have moved in a direction where 65 days there was no action. At least here, active leads are being pursued. What's the problem?
No, that is right, Rahul. CBI registered case only on 6th of August. And it's not even been more than 2 months, and we haven't completed 2 months yet. And no one can put a fixed timeline for the CBI to complete the investigation of a case. In many cases, investigation carries on for years. In fact, if one goes to the website of CBI, you will find that they have said that they will try to complete case, generally talking, within a year. And they make all attempts to expedite the investigation. Yes, families or the fan and followers and well-wishers of Sushant Singh Rajput would be disappointed. But someone's disappointed cannot be... someone's disappointment is not strong enough to attribute any malice to the investigation of an agency. Well, if you talk about political motive, there's always been a contention by the Maharashtra government that there are political play behind the CBI demand and behind maligning the Mumbai police investigation.
Manvi Taneja, you subscribe to that view that this entire investigation, the way it's played out over the last 106 days, has been about politics and nothing else?
Yeah, till the time the case was not under CBI, yes, it was politics. But yes, when CBI took over the case, CBI is taking some time because the case, there's some problem with the audio. Can you please rectify the audio?
Yeah, we are rectifying that, but go on.
Go on. Make your point. Go on.
So see,
yes.
According to me, CBI is on the right track. Yeah, the CBI is on the right track. It will take some time because initial 48 hours of crime scene is very critical. It's very crucial, and the evidence has been tempered. And now CBI will take some time because this Mumbai police, they try to convert the whole crime scene into a picnic spot. So CBI, I'll again say the CBI is on the right track. It will take some time for investigation because the crime scene is the crime is.
Manvi Taneja, can you see any track of the CBI?
See, the CBI is still working, but yes, NCB, as far as NCB is concerned, because there are three agencies linked to it, CBI, NCB and ED. So NCB is already taken Rhea into custody, and everything is linked, I would say. The drug link is also linked with Sushant murder case because as far as we know, the Sushant death is somewhere related with overdose of drugs also. So it is related. We cannot deny the fact that Rhea has been taken into custody and she has taken out names. She has taken out the list of names, and we are actually going to, the NCB is actually going to investigate the peddler, who's the peddler, because everything is linked. So we cannot deny the fact that it is related with drugs. So CBI is on the right track, and we should wait. We should not get
the question is,
CBI,
and if we can just put out that statement by the CBI, 38 words that says it all. 106 days on after Sushant Singh Rajput's mysterious death, we are nowhere close to an answer on whether it was suicide, whether it was 306, which is abetment to suicide, or whether it's a homicide case, 302. The question is, even as there is pressure on the accused from the courts when they go in for their bail, the pressure now is mounting even on the agencies. The question is, people of this country are waiting for justice to be done, because the Sushant Singh Rajput case is a beacon that is being held high for the common man. If he doesn't get justice in this case, what hope can any ordinary person on the streets have? Isn't that the vital question, Rahul?
Yeah, of course, justice has to be defined. Naturally, viewers, there will be many of you who will say that Sushant Singh Rajput's death was born out of unnatural circumstances. It could be homicide, it could have been abetment to suicide. Of course, there's a whole other lot of people who say that this was a simple case of suicide and he lost an unfortunate battle. But he will live on in our hearts, and let the matter be. So obviously it's a relative term, justice, but I think the term that we have to focus on, closure, for the family, as well as, of course, for those who are so deeply emotionally invested in the legacy that Sushant Singh Rajput has left behind. But the fact of the matter is, and we cannot deny this also, Navika, that the CBI has come out and said in its 38-word press release that at this moment it is not ruling out anything. So at the end of the day, this story will just keep moving forward. I just hope that the CBI doesn't exhaust all those 90 days that are available to it, and that we have something coming out of the agency before that.
Well, and the first sign of any movement will really come from the meeting between the forensic team and the CBI SIT. We'll keep our eyes on that big meeting, what it really reveals, because that will hold the key to this entire mysterious death case. That's all we have for you today on Explosive Exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Stories that will show you a completely different angle and a new investigation. Thank you very much for joining Rahul and me.